where you love to see a lot of innovation and technology. How can you interpret this year's theme? Innovation through technology and, of course, innovation transforming businesses.
Well, first of all, the mining sector, for it to be efficient and effective, requires technology. Technology is very key for mining. And so even at Rumana Mining Company, you know, I'm sure you have heard most of the times people speaking about low-grade mining company. It took a long time for the deposit at Rumana to be mined. But because of advancements in technology, that is why Rumana is there. So if you came to Rumana today, you would find huge dump trucks, very big, to manage issues of economies of scale, as well as to manage the viability of the mining operation. So technology is very key for Rumana. The conveyor belts from the pits that take copper to the processing plant, right. Even the system for getting the copper out of the soil is through technology. So for us as a mining company, technology is very key in our mining operations.
And speaking of the products, obviously, or the services that you're offering here, do tell us, mining, what are you mining? Copper, gold, and everything else, and of course the services that you're offering here.
Well, first of all, Rumana is a copper mine. So we process copper, and what we get is concentrate, which we send to the smelters of the copper belt. Yes. So for us, this show is very, very important. There are very few people who understand the Rumana Mining Company and where the mine is. Each time you ask somebody about Rumana, they will tell you it's in Soweto, and it's in Kalumbila district. It's important for us to network, to be found here in the capital, so that people get to know who Rumana Mining Company is. And also it's important for us to understand, that we are part of Zambia, to get to know what is happening in our own country. For us to network, the show is the best platform for us to manage ourselves in terms of our networks.
Beautiful. And what could be your word to other business entities and, of course, the show goers? Remember, we are holding this particular edition after about 2 years because of the coronavirus, which somewhat affected a lot of businesses. I don't know how it affected the mining sector, but what could be your word to other businesses?
No business every business in the country was affected by the COVID-19 when it came on the scene. For the mining sector, it was more to do with the supply chain issues. So, they were impacted. For you to get spares, to get goods, services around the world was challenging. And so that constrained the business very much. But I think it is time now for every business to rise up to the occasion. With the new government in place, it's time for us to revive our economy. So the mining sector is a part of that economy, and I think we are geared as the Rumana Mining Company to participate.
Beautiful. And of course, how can the general public be able to locate you and find you as Rumana Mines here at the showgrounds?
Well, we are in the Jubilee Hall, in the showgrounds, where we have our stand there, exhibiting, showcasing our innovations in technology, through a sustainable future. So if you came to our stand, you would see how we are, partnering with the community around the mine in terms of different initiatives. We know, with the coming of the mine, a lot of people have come into the area, and so we want the community to be part of the mining operation as well. So they do the various investments, they participate in the mine operation in terms of business partnerships. All that we are showcasing at our pavilion in the DP.
All right, beautiful. Maybe I know you did not see this particular question, but as Rumana Mine, even looking at the sustainability and looking for the future, there is new technology, that of the electric vehicles, and in this particular new technology, there will be need of more of copper using that. Are there deliberate plans for the future as the mine is planning to in order to see this particular sector or technology be invented here in Zambia fully?
I think the only catch for the mining company to participate in that cause is for us to ramp up in terms of production. So we are riding on the call of the government that we need to ramp up in terms of copper production. And so, of course, the only way we can do that is doing more of exploration in terms of finding new deposits to get to viable numbers in terms of copper production. and by that we'll be able to contribute to the electric, era of cars and different types of technologies.
Absolutely. And as we're looking at the mining sector, maybe finally before I get to release you, what are the projections currently? How many tons per annum are you producing? And looking at the projection, to what levels are you looking forward to?
I won't go so much on numbers.
Okay.
But just to say that we're ramping up production. From last year's production, we're trying to see how we can raise production.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mukala, it's been a pleasure having you on the breakfast show this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, great. All right, so I've been speaking with the sustainability manager from the Lumwana Copper Mines, all the way from Kalumbila district in Solwezi, in northwestern province, and this is Mr. Christopher Mukala as we are trying to look at the mining sector. You're still watching the Big Sunrise Breakfast Show right here on Movie TV, and we're coming to you live from the Lusaka Agricultural Showgrounds, and this is where we are having with a theme of innovation through technology and, of course, innovation transforming businesses. Do share with us where you're watching us from. Do join in, and of course, share with us what your interpretation of this particular theme is. Lined up on today's edition of the Breakfast Show, obviously a very, very interesting story. So yesterday, in current affairs or politics, we saw Boma Lusambo being in a torment as the Concord has nullified his Kabushi seat. And of course, the traditional leader in Mchinga province has died, so our condolences to Mchinga province. And EFF describes government's supplementary budget as a propaganda. And this is the problem that has been there. So there's a debate, and we are getting to see this as to why the government should be able to supplement the budget when the budget itself is constrained. So this is what we heard from Mr. Kasonde Mwenda, the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters. And of course, the leadership movement president urges government to prioritize ICT education. So this is very interesting. So we heard from this ICT education being compulsory and all that, moving on forward. But some engineer like Professor Clive Chira says, well, ICT, we can use that particular technology, but it won't be able to give us so much revenue. So it's a very, very good and interesting, debate about what we're getting to see that. This morning, I'm joined by this senior most man, a man with so many titles, and he loves, the most title that he loves is teacher, Paruru, but in Africa. They respect this man. We call him Muzei Mavuto Piri. Muzei, good morning.
Good morning, Zambia. Good morning, Africa. Always excited and privileged to be part of this exciting show.
All right, how's the morning going?
Of course, getting different news. There's a lot of excitement, optimism among the Zambian people, considering that today is another big day. People have been waiting and anticipating for the possible creation of jobs. We are talking about 11,000 jobs in the health sector.
Over 11,000?
Yes, and yesterday I think there was a news conference to be able to update the nation. And today the machines have been running throughout the night at Zambia Daily Mail to ensure that those names are published. So there's a lot of excitement and anxiety in terms of the challenges.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And today we are on day 3, I think, of the agricultural showgrounds. How has been the mood and atmosphere been changing so far? Getting to day 3.
I think the population, in terms of the attenders, those attending, is increasing day by day.
Right.
I think we've seen a lot of excitement. You are aware that there's been an absence of agriculture and commercial show activities for the last 24 months.
Yes.
So I think this is exciting. And even when you talk about the theme itself, it's something that motivates you because I think during the COVID period we saw a lot of innovation and we saw a lot of people and individuals embracing technology to the fullest of their abilities. And here we are. This is the theme that we have. Of course, we're looking at possible alternatives of how we can survive in what we always dubbed as a new normal.
All right, and speaking of technology, I know you are one of the people
So if you look at Zambia, speaking in the next 20 years, we should be talking about embracing technology and also utilization of our most priced metal, which is copper.
Is this what they are bringing to the Zambian people?
Yes, this is what they are bringing to the Zambian people. Because one thing for sure is that what we are expecting is, one, the Zambian people, many of us have been these things are quickly addressed.
Right.
And here we are waiting for the government to be able to publish these names in the paper. So for me, I think it's something that is very exciting.
All right. All right, interesting. That's about that. And let's get to now the Honorable. Yesterday was a very, very interesting day. And of course, a big day as to what was happening in the courts, because the bulldozer, the NATO forces, you know, the NATO forces, it's not a force that you can easily break down. And like he called himself, the bulldozer is not somebody or something or machinery, earth-moving machinery that you can just break down like a small vehicle. But yesterday, it was squeezed, broken down, and the NATO forces were gunned down. We're speaking of the Kabushi parliamentary seat, which was nullified, and as we speak, Boma Lusambo, the former provincial minister for Lusaka, is no longer the member of parliament for Kabushi. We get to look at this and what political atmosphere or trajectory it has on the Zambian scene.
Of course, a complication indeed. But look, the courts have made the decision. Earlier, the Ndola High Court had made that decision. So we need to look at what are the implications of what has happened.
Right.
First of all, an election should never be littered with confusion. Mm-hmm. An election should never be littered with doubts.
Right.
And yes, Honorable Lusambo might have been happy that he won that election. But according to the courts, and what we've been told, that the election was not done in a fair manner. Mm-hmm. And if you look at yesterday's outcome of the court case, almost at every point, he was being implicated. Mm-hmm. I think there was an issue of the NATO forces. Yes. And people were taking photos. Wherever he showed up, people were taking photos. And he had not openly condemned the activities of the NATO forces. Mm-hmm. If he had done so or disassociated himself, the discussion would have been different. Right. But like I've stated, we need to be able to look at the bigger picture. What's the bigger picture? The bigger picture is that, firstly, for me, this is a wastage of resources. Mm-hmm. Bodies like Electoral Commission of Zambia were aware of these activities. That election must have been, this election, based on what has come out of the court, should never have taken place.
What is there in our constitution that guides for such things prior to the elections to not take an election not to take place?
There should be. I think we've seen where violence has been instigated, right, and elections have been cancelled, mm-hmm, or postponed. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think the election in Kabushi, based on what today the court is telling us, should not have happened. Because we've wasted 10 months of the people. And yes, a candidate that was not supposed to be a member of parliament was declared so. Mm-hmm. Even me, I think I would not be proud. And I want to put it on record that I'm very excited and happy with the response that Honorable Lusambo has issued. To say it's time to sit back, mm-hmm, and introspect and decide the way forward in terms of how we move from this trajectory. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think, yes, there was this euphoria.
Right.
But what should have happened is that, one, that election should not have taken place. Secondly, the people that were taking part in those elections. But look, Honorable Lusambo was coming from a governing political party.
Yes.
They neither cared to be able to facilitate for a platform or a forum where people could have taken part in an election that is free and fair. Here we are, sadly, my brother and friend has lost a seat. But these are lessons, especially to us young politicians, that never involve yourself in malpractices. Never bribe people. Never threaten people. Let it be the collective will of the Zambian people to be able to make a decision on their own. Don't coerce them. And that's my point. So if you don't coerce people, people will be able to make their own decision. And it's sad, like I've stated, because look at the amount of resources that were lost in that election. And in the next 90 days, even when the country has competing needs, just up to last night, 2205, budget was still, Parliament was still discussing supplementary budget.
Yes.
You see, even where we need to be able to save, you see, we can never have an election as an activity throughout 5 years of a government. No. That should not be allowed or condoned. We should be able to say only when there's a national death. But the challenge with the Kabushi election is that this is man-made. If people had made a decision there and then, these things would not have happened.
But
where they saw, look, there was even, and I was told, according to those that were in court, that even when they wanted to play the clips of the NATO forces, the lawyers on the other side were just saying no. So clearly there was admission at all levels
that they were guilty.
That an election malpractice had been observed and conducted, yet those who had the legitimate means of doing it in terms of facilitating a platform that ensures free and fair elections did not do so.
Let me take you back to when a returning officer is announcing the election results. He says, this day, so and so and so, and he goes on to say free and fair. What happens? Don't they have enough evidence or just the information on the ground as to what might have transpired prior to the elections? And even, because if you speak of this Kabushi seat, even the eve of election, of the polling day, there were activities that have been also cited in this particular case in the Constitutional Court. Do they have enough evidence or enough information for them not even maybe to declare an election from the Electoral Commission of Zambia?
That evidence they have. But it's only their decision that they opt not to do so. We saw what was happening. And we saw the complaints that were emerging as a result of that.
Should they
so for me, even when you're cancelling this election, you need to be, people need to trust our electoral processes. But the manner in which we've done some of these things, people don't trust these processes. Should they being concluded or notifications being concluded like this? But we are, up to now, we still remained in thin air in terms of what the decision of the court on that presidential election petition.
I want you
so
to,
for me,
I want you to guide
this
something.
should not be a culture. Our culture should be that our election should be accountable. All of us should be able to account in terms of the electoral process. Our election should be transparent at all levels. We know, and my thinking was that 2021 elections should have been different.
Right.
Based on the experiences that we attained in 2016. But we see the same irregularities taking place. For me, even when we call for institutions to be independent or build the autonomy of these institutions, it should not just be said, but it should be practical enough to be able to inspire all of us.
Free and fair election.
Because this does not inspire me. This does not inspire any child out there who wants to become a politician. That first of all, our leaders who are sitting in parliament, you know, when you get to parliament, you have to be honorable. But firstly, the process under which you went through was flawed. The process which you went through was deception. Why should I even call you honorable? Just think of the level of etiquette and decorum itself.
Yes.
So it becomes a problem for me.
I want you to run us through, Muse, the clear definition of what a free and fair election is. What is it? People ask you, we've heard of free and fair elections in Zambia, but really after those elections, there have been complaints, there have been court cases, but what exactly, or what is the real definition of free and fair election? What should an election be like?
An election should be free of vote buying.
Right.
An election should be free of deception. Don't go out there to the people to give them food during the election period.
What if they're hungry?
You should have done it earlier. if truly I want to be a member of parliament for an area, I should start developing that area now than in the run-up to the elections.
Right.
You see? So I think we need to be exemplary in our behavior in terms of how we attend to some of these things. If you're not going to do that, my brother, are not going to develop. I feel sad for my brother, Honorable Sambo, that it has gotten to this level. But there are examples, there are practical examples to be able to follow through. That please, let's avoid deceptive electoral outcomes.
Right.
Yes. It's not about him, but it's about the people of Kabushi. Let them be given the leadership that is reflective of a decision that was made at the ballot, not a decision that was enticed.
That's what a free and fair election
entails. Yes.
And moving on, and I know everywhere else, the question that I've been coming across, just after that hearing and that particular judgment by the Constitutional Court, on behalf of the other Concord judges, that was Judge Palan Mulonda, is Honorable, the bulldozer, be able to retain that seat? Or what follows for him? He's able to recontest for that seat?
I had not conclusively looked at the judgment in terms of what the outcome, because there are always three scenarios that are always provided.
Let's get to look at those.
The first scenario is that your seat can be nullified and you can still take part. There are also instances where your seat can be nullified and you can't take part. Yeah. So, for me, based on the gravity of the this election petition, it's more likely that there are little chances that there might be participation. Because what is key and the key determination are the grounds of what it says. So at this stage, we are yet to establish whether he will take part. But I think even him, that's why it was very clever, because he needed to understand the implication of that. If you read his statement,
yes,
he said
we will
re-strategize. But already has indicated that his next course of action is to become the president of Zambia. So maybe these will be now preparations and thinking of the bigger picture.
He's done with representing people at the National Assembly.
Yeah, he's done, but we can also see him. But let me, the truth be told, for me, I see Kabushi now as a presidential seat.
What do you mean? Like, this is politicking all the time now.
No.
You said that with Kabwata, and
yes,
even now this...
President Aganda needs numbers.
We will never stop, politicking in Zambia.
Let's take it in the run-up to the 2021 election.
Yes.
Honorable Bomando Sambo was a fierce critic of President Ichilem.
Absolutely.
Yes. He said all manner of things against President Ichilem. And you remember, even during the corruption allegations, even when my brother and friend had issued statements, President Ichilem posted, I think, he never said it, but he posted on his page, which in short would say he said it, that Pungwa Tasagamana.
Who changes Wankoko?
Pungwa.
A lot of people condemned that particular statement.
Yes. Who changes Wankoko? Pungwa. And you've seen how the Pungwa has reacted. That's the first stage of,
now,
that's the first stage of reaction.
Why?
From the presidency. And I can tell you, whether you like it or not, that seat will attract a lot of people to go and campaign. Because next seat to that, to Kabushi, is Ndola Central.
Yes.
Which belongs to the UPND. So the likelihood that that seat, as we speak, is as good as a presidential seat.
Muze, every other by-election for parliamentary, our presidential elections, we looked at Kabwata, and indeed it was nothing of the candidates of, the man who won with the UPND, Honorable Tayengwa, and his closest rival, Mr. Clement Tembo from the Patriot Front. It was nothing about them, but it was about the Patriot Front and the UPND. Are we going to see the same with this particular one?
Yeah, look, truth be told, the opposition also, in case they want to retain that seat, they need to unite. As long as they will go in separately, it will be difficult for them to be able to win that seat. Because look, everybody now is still in love with the UPND. They've created employment.
Right.
Yes. For teachers, nurses, doctors.
Yes.
So President Hakainde Hichilema is proving some of his colleagues otherwise.
Are they not going to bring about the issue?
You go back and say, I've added more money to your constituency development fund.
Yes.
I've given you jobs, your relatives as we speak, they've got jobs. We just saw, I think it was in Mwinungu. There was no election in Mwinungu. But look at the levels of excitement that were there. Just yesterday, you and me, we visited one agency of the government.
Yes. And
we were told about 5-6 projects that are lined up for commissioning.
Yes.
So we are yet to see in terms of what exactly will happen. But I can tell you, if I was the Honorable Bowman Nsamba, I would think twice of participating in there. Because the President Hakainde Hichilema would take all the resources there to just prove a point. I remember at one time when which time was that? When Honorable Shakafuso had been fired by President Rupia Banda, yes. And my late colleague and very good uncle of mine, Chibomba Milimu.
Yes.
President Banda said, I will follow them to their constituencies. And I think that's a feeling in State House as we speak. To say I'm following my young man to his constituency, to show him that I'm in charge. I might necessarily not be representing the president, but I'm just picturing this based on what was obtained in the run-up to the 2021 elections.
But maybe this is the reason why you heard a number of times when he was even provincial minister, he said, some statements, you say, Mr. President, the current president, then that's not your level. Your level is like me. This is where we can have,
yes.
This level. But
yes.
Why would the president, is he not just demeaning himself to be able to now
start
but
the president has a mandate for everybody. Yesterday in Parliament they were discussing his supplementary budget.
Yes.
So, didn't he need the numbers? He needed the numbers.
He needs the numbers.
He needs the numbers to be able to assert his authority in terms of key decisions in this country, especially in Parliament. And Kabushi will be very strategic for him.
And Kabushi, obviously, at the time they pronounced of the rebranding of the Patriotic Front, that was at the time when there was, by-elections in Kawata constituency, right here in Lusaka. Getting to the Copper Belt, Kabushi now, I don't know the similarity with
And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Every progressive member of parliament in the next 5 years, whether they belong to PF or UPND, they have no choice but to work with President Hakainde Hichilema. So that's why I'm telling you, it's easy for President Hichilema to go and win with the UPND that seat. Yesterday, you and me, I think, we had a conversation with one member of parliament.
Yes.
Who belongs to the PF.
Yes.
Who has already endorsed the UPND. And he says, I went to parliament to represent my people.
Yes.
So why should I be antagonistic towards the government? My responsibility is to facilitate for that development. But the people with the money is President Hakainde Hichilema and the new donor administration.
And it's to work with them.
And it's to work with them. And those are the very people I can assure you that the president will use in Kabushi to campaign for you. Because he has given them already funding. The MP yesterday was smiling and telling us, and well-defined leadership to be able to drive the agenda of the party.
But
now, the only leadership they have is an acting president with other participating candidates.
Yes.
They know that today, if they were to elect a leader, I can assure you that the PF will disintegrate.
We're looking at what next for them now?
I don't know what next for them, but they need to be able to strategize. I've always said also that the PF, the death of the PF could be a problem to this country. Because this country...
And that's where I'm getting to. We need opposition.
This country also needs support.
Yes.
Yes. This country needs support. Yes.
So the death of this seemingly biggest opposition political party
yes,
is a danger to Zambia.
Yes.
How can we be able to overcome this danger or this challenge? How can we bypass it?
They need to be able to reorganize themselves. They've got the structure, they've got the people. But the problem is at the top. And that's why mostly when I sit to have discussions and conversations like this, I always tell you that most of our political parties are skeletons.
Yes.
Because what was the motivation of the PF as an opposition or as a governing political party? People were being appointed. It was at the instigation of those that had leadership. But the focus has changed now. people need to be given a responsibility to be able to do some of these things. And I'm happy. I saw the solidarity yesterday that most of the members of parliament went to visit him to assure him that we're still with you. They need each other at this stage. Because the fear, imagine if he just even yesterday, they didn't show up at his place. The UPND would have told him, look, the true colors of the brothers. And they did well to go and visit him.
But they seem to be more united now in the opposition than, even some previously. What's with this unity and solidarity?
I'm not too sure, but we are yet to be able to define some of these things. Yeah.
Right. All right. So there's a number of people that are joining us, obviously, on different social media platforms. And speaking of Danny Liswaniso, watching you from Toronto, Canada. Mr. Danny, thank you so much. Hope you are enjoying the program. And Boston Simusam says, watching you from Sikongo district of Western Province. All right. And Mulenga Mpundu says, forget about PF in Kabushi. Kabushi for UPND now. Interesting. What is clause 27 says about that in the Constitution? So Mr. Ruben Chishimba will be able to get to look at that, like Muzei said, as we go along and be able to get to interpret more of that particular judgment. We're yet to get other, information that been attached to that particular judgment. So we're yet to get to that. So there's a number of people that are obviously watching us. All right, so we got a caller and we just want to get to listen to what they're saying. Hello?
Morning, Keith.
Yes, good morning, Elder. How are you?
Fine, fine. And how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Good to have you. You're live. Please go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, I'd like to find out, is the Bowman going to start? Is he qualified to start after all those reasons?
All right, and according to what it is, it's a threefold arrangement. So there is one, depending on the full information from that judgment, where if the evidence and depending on the judges, what they feel with the evidence at hand, they'll be able to rule him out from recontesting. And yet again, it all depends with the evidence. On the other hand, if the evidence, the judges feels maybe he could recontest, he'll be able to recontest that particular one. But as of now, we haven't been able to read the whole judgment in full. Like we said, we'll be able to advise as we go along.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, bye.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so you're still watching the Breakfast Show right here on Movie TV, and we're coming to you live from the Lusaka Agricultural Showgrounds. Please engage us and join in the conversation. And to those of you that may want to join in with the phone calls, please be able to call us on 0973-727395 and be able to share with us. Obviously, this is the hottest issue that we have yesterday. The NATO forces were gunned down, and bulldozer Lusambo Bowman has been, his seat has been nullified of Kabushi constituency. And not long from now, we'll be able to see the by-elections taking place right there.
90 days.
In 90 days, yes. That's 3 months.
This is it. Very soon we'll communicate in terms of the actual dates when the elections will be announced.
All right, beautiful. So Thierry Henry, Ozil. Wow, you may be thinking this is Thierry Henry watching, but it's not. But the moment I saw Ozil, I'm like, no, how can Thierry Henry be now Ozil? All right, watching you from Ngombe within Lusaka, I'm enjoying the program. Well, Mr. Thierry Henry, thank you so much for watching, and good you are enjoying the program. So now people want to see whether the bulldozer will be able to recontest, like Elder Mulonda is just from calling to also find out. And I've advised him to say, we'll be able to advise you of the full judgment with that particular one of, the election. So if you're still watching, you can still call us on 0973-727395. We're live on Movie Satellite Channel #1, and of course on social media. That's Ask Facebook, Ask Movie TV. That's our handle on Facebook, and of course on Top Star Bouquet, we're live on channel 104. Now, getting to look at this, Mose, this is the clear evidence.
I think yesterday McDonald attempted to to explain in terms of implications of the nullification of Bo Concord judgment. I think you can.
All right, this is GEA's Executive Director, Mr. McDonald Chipenzi. So he says, implications of nullification of Concord judgment. Now, GEA's is, is an initiative that looks at the electoral governance here in Zambia. They've been very, very, very consistent with issuing out, the issues surrounding the whole processes of electoral commission of Zambia. Following the Concord judgment upholding the nullification of the Kabushi election, many are asking whether Bowman Lusambo qualified to recontest his seat in the coming by-election. So here it is now. Listen carefully. Take a very good listen. Section 108, subsection 6 demands that where it appears to High Court, in this case Concord, upon trial of an election, that any corrupt practice or illegal practice has been committed by any person in connection with the election to which the election relates. In the event that there is an appeal, the Concord shall prepare the report, except that the court shall not state the name of any person under this paragraph unless the person has been given an opportunity of appearing before the court and of showing cause why the person's name should not be stated. However, Section 7 guides that the registrar of a designated person shall deliver a copy of every report prepared by the High Court, in this case the Concord, to the Commission and the Director of Public Prosecution. Furthermore, Section 8 mandates the Commission, as soon as it received the report under Section 7, recommend the prosecution of the person stated in the report by the DPP. And in this case, Bowman Lusambo, the Concord, has established fraud and violence, which are illegal practice in the electoral process and prosecutable. This perfectly attracts prosecution of Bowman Lusambo and his NATO troops. Therefore, police and SEC must move in to prosecute the culprits, to send strong storm to those involved and mentioned to the High Court. Interesting. Therefore, police and the SEC must move in quickly to prosecute the culprits, looking at the evidence is there. However, the court seems not to have disqualified, yes, like we said, disqualified Bowman from recontesting this fresh election for the Kabushi seat.
But there's also another argument. Based on what he's saying, you can invoke Article 52. Because there was evidence that there was violence. There was vote buying.
Yes.
There was, what else was there?
Fraud, violence, yes. Which is against the electoral code.
If the UPND want to disqualify him, either a member of the UPND or a member of the general public can go and report. But since now that there's a judgment, that simply means that the aggressors in those activities are supposed to be arrested. If there were people that were injured or assaulted, today they can go to police and report. And the culprits will be reported. But using Article 52,
yes,
it can be disqualified.
And this is where it's getting to say, therefore, police and SEC must move in quickly.
Yes. So under Article 52, it can be disqualified based on those grounds. So I read that article with interest, but I also said, can we go to 52? If somebody reports and says, no, but this person, you've convicted him. Yesterday's judgment is as good as a conviction.
I just hope Bowman won't be reported in Mapanza, my village.
No, but he has to be reported where the
crime took place.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. I almost got worried to say, the Honorable, the bulldozer must be, moving into to some places. Okay, so having said that, so what the court has done basically is nullifying the election that brought the victory for being mad with fraud, illegal practice, hence being unfair. Therefore, calling for a fresh election in Kabushi. Unless prosecution for illegal practice among practices established Bowman starts now, he is free and qualified to recontest the Kabushi seat. So I submit, this is the GEA's Executive Director, McDonald Chipenzi.
But what people should understand, we know that people want to hear the court saying, but the court yesterday the court did not pronounce that it doesn't qualify to contest.
It was just left.
It didn't disqualify him. You see?
Yes.
So now we have to go and seek the clarity of the court.
What people want.
What do people want?
Look, I'm saying, as we speak now, what people want.
What people want.
From that judgment.
But that can only be applicable when you invoke Article 52 of the Constitution. So let's go and get the interpretation.
The thing is, those people that want to hear what they want,
Yes.
they are not privy of Article 52.
Yes. So let them read it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you really want
I think
to
there's
hear,
also somebody who has written it, I think, comprehensively in terms of an argument.
Okay.
That you can look at critically.
all right, okay, this is now Article 52. So some of you that may want to get to listen to what Article 52 says, this is Kasali Matipa, who has now just posted right on our page. And if you are following the conversation right on Ask Movie TV, on the live feed of this edition of the Breakfast Show, only Article 52 may be used to disqualify Bowman Lusambo from recontesting his seat and not the nullification judgment. If one wants to disqualify Bowman's desire to recontest Kabushi's seat, one has to file in a nomination challenge using Article 52 of the Constitution. This is to seek the Constitutional Court interpretation on whether or not Bowman can or eligible to stand a view of the court finding him guilty of participating in corruption, violence, vote fraud, among others, and malpractice connected to his NATO troops. The court decision will be final. If it will be disqualification, then the decision of the court will trigger the provisions of Article 70 and Article 72. Article 52, subsection 4 states that a person may challenge before a court or tribunal as prescribed the nomination of a candidate within 7 days of the close of nomination, and the court shall hear the case within 21 days of its lodgement. After a disqualification, Clause 6 is triggered, which guides where a candidate becomes disqualified in accordance with Article 70, or a court disqualifies a candidate, corruption or malpractice after a close of nomination. And the Commission shall cancel the election and require a filing of fresh nomination by eligible candidates, and election shall be held within 30 days of the filing of the fresh nomination. Therefore, relying on the nullification judgment is not enough to disqualify Bowman Lusambo, as the court never disqualified him. And of course, Lusambo, except nullifying his seat that brought him as Kabushi MP. Therefore, nullification of an election does not mean disqualification of a candidate. Very clear, loud and clear. Nullification does not mean disqualification of the candidate from contesting, but it is a call fresh election which is a petition to also participate. Inversely, disqualification is cause for the non-participation of the petitioned in a fresh elections. Interesting. So, Honorable Kawana Mangala, Kabushi is for PF, no doubt about that. Interesting. Watching from Solwezi Northwestern, this is Lukama Maxwell and Lyson Simunza, watching from Chingola. I really enjoy you guys. Thank you so much, Lyson. And Peter Shamanse, watching from Chamba Valley. According to my own understanding, that man is not qualifying to, no, it's not about your understanding, it's about the Constitution. And given Machai, Brother Mavuto, long time, good morning. I like the way you articulate things. So, Mose, that's a message for you. And I think it's loud.
For those that are still waiting and anticipating, the Daily Mail is out. The Daily Mail is out.
Wow.
So go and grab a copy and see if your name is there.
Like we saw,
Maybe we should be checking on Mtumba and ask where she is.
Let's try
to be able to give us an update whether the people are still panicking and how the excitement wherever she is at the moment.
Like last week, a lot of people were, filled with tears of joy. People got into praises and all that. So we just want to quickly get in touch with
people at the intercession sessions at churches last week. So let's see how it goes.
You know what? So I asked you earlier on of what it means to get a government job by recruitment, and many people that were crying. Some people were not really understanding. Like, hey, just getting a government job, you are really crying. I was talking to Honorable Samakai, and he did get to give me a very, very interesting story of a family that of 3. All of them, they have gone to teaching. They were qualified, they were trained, and they had not gotten any job since 2010. And what happened is with the teacher recruitment, they all got
is on the line.
All right.
We hope that you're at the Daily Mail. We just needed to get an update of what is happening there. Hello, good morning. You're live on TV.
Hello, good morning, sir. How are you?
Very fine. Would you give us the update of what is happening at Daily Mail now?
The situation is calm. The papers are not yet out, but the acting director general for Daily Mail, so that you can also get to find out how many papers they've printed so far.
All right. One more question, Mutumba.
Uh,
Is it like the situation of teachers? Is it also crowded, like people waiting for the publications?
no, it's not. Actually, this time around, it's calm. The only people who are here are the vendors who are waiting.
All right.
Maybe because of the situation, I think that the health practitioners are calm because they were told yesterday that the names will be published. It's just a time, patience maybe, but just the vendors here. Maybe if they prolong, we'll be able to see some people coming because they want to get the newspaper at first hand. Also, you'd like to know that this time around they've included a private media to also help in the publication, apart from Times and
Daily Mail.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mutumba, thank you so much. I think we'll be getting back to you in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right, great.
Yeah, so you read it for yourself. At least there's no panic because government also involved private media in terms of publication of these names.
But could
I saw some officials from the ministry as early, I don't know whether to refer to it as late as or as early as. Because that was around 0405.
that's as early as.
Yes, as early as 05. Some of the officials, I think I must have seen them at the Diggers newspaper.
All right.
Doing the final compilation. So it's a matter of a few minutes as we wait. Yeah.
But don't you think this has these publications and these processes just exposed Zambia Daily Mail and these publications, government publications, as to how they are delaying? Is it that they don't have the manpower, or what exactly?
I don't think so. It's just the excitement because this is their core business. But to be told you are printing 30,000 copies of a newspaper, it's a mammoth task.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Indeed. Mr. Man, I've been trying to reach you. You're like an MP also, huh?
You're live on air, sir. All right.
You've lost the call.
I think I've lost that call, and I think I've lost that. But if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can call us on 0973-727395, 0973-727395, and you'll be able to engage us and be able to just run us through what your thoughts are. Muse, I was asking you the question, is it not exposing the government institutions that they do not have the capacity?
But look, we all exist as media institutions. Even this platform, government should have taken advantage of it.
Right.
If they say the paper is coming out at 10, then they tell you as Movie TV to say, can we have the publication of the names on your TV, running and scrolling? We all deserve to get business from government. So for me, I don't think we should be able to blame other government-controlled institutions. No.
All right.
It's an opportunity for all of us to be able to benefit from this business because it comes once in a while. Yes.
And Pumulo, just like my question, Pumulo who's watching, he says, Daily Mail, same with the teachers. Why can't they
It's just us
accelerate
who
their
are
work?
panicking. It's just us as the citizens that are panicking. And I'm happy that these are things that are happening. But the storm will be over very soon. And all of us will forget that these newspapers even exist.
Well, I'm looking at how many teachers Is it because they are feeling, oh wow, if Mavuto says my name, Muse, you'll be able to call me to say my name is there.
Yeah.
People are now somewhat trying to control their anxiety and their expectations. Not rushing to Daily Mail, not rushing to the media, they are just on the ease.
Yeah, people should be on the ease, but also the number is just 11,000. So
That's so little.
Yeah, compared to the teachers were many, and the expectation was huge. It was
Right.
just from telling us that 3 people from one family have been employed under this government. So the motivation is there to be able to check, but of course people will say, okay, I'll check later.
I'll check later, and the later
keeps on going.
A letter keeps on going. So as we have heard from our staff, Alambela Mutumba Jr., to say the Daily Mail, as we speak, they are just almost winding up, and obviously the vendors have already been there to just try to get to see that they get
Already
all of
they've
those
started,
copies.
I'm just seeing the pictures, I think, online.
All right.
One nurse who's been picked, she's literally crying and reading through the newspaper. The newspaper is out.
All right. So the newspaper is out, and this is the breaking news. Like we was telling you, we're the first in news, and we're a channel of choice. You have no other choice, and the papers are out. So if you're still watching, probably on your phone and at home, please grab and just rush to a canteen, but grab yourself that particular paper and just run through, and you'll be able, I'm sure very soon from now, there's also, if you've subscribed to the e-paper as well, you can quickly log in and be able to just try to check through.
yeah.
And obviously with that already won, congratulations to those that have been picked, and you know, those that have been left out. Well, there's always another time for you to get through that. And looking at you know, take the intake of the health personnel, which is very, very little, Mose, very, very little. What could you speak of? What is the projection with the government in trying to also look at the other numbers that are going to be left out? I know the teachers were many,
but also, you see, we need to be focused as a country. Even when we are training these people, we also need to see a component of innovation.
right.
I've always said that, for instance, those in the medical field, why should you wait for employment when each and every Zambian today is looking for a medical service? It's even in communities. The CDF is a huge money.
Yes.
Begin to open clinics in Mandevu. Begin to open clinics in Kabwata and compete with the government of the day. So for me, I think what is lacking is the innovation and creativity in terms of how some of these things should be done.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. And you've been watching, obviously, the biggest breakfast show in the land. This is the Sunrise Breakfast Show. And this is where we come to the end. And obviously, we'll be back with some more exciting and breaking news as we are covering and beaming to you live from the Lusaka Agricultural Show grounds. And of course, we were brought to you with the association of Betway, like every other edition of the breakfast. So if you are also exhibiting, please come through the movie TV stand and we'll be able to offer you the services that we are offering. On behalf of Muse Mavuto Piri, the District Commissioner, and of course, Teacher Paruro, this has been Keith Mwemba. Thank you so much for watching. Like always and always, it's one Zambia and one nation.